2, 1. Good afternoon, traders and investors from around the world. Thanks for tuning in to the closing print with pre-market prep. Josh Walter here, filling in for Joel Elconin. I'm going to be filling in for Joel this week, but we're going to have lots of guests on, like Dennis Dick today. He's going to join us in a few minutes. And tomorrow, you're going to want to stay tuned for Christian from Hertz. So there's lots of good guests and shows for this week, but let's take a look at how the futures are doing today. And now I'm going to put this question in the chat. We've done this a couple times before, but this is an exercise to see where we think the S&Ps are going to finish the day at. So as of the last 15-minute candle, it was in the E-minis 4,561.75. So I want to ask you guys, do you think the market is going to close up from that level, down, flat? Let me know in the chat. And those of you who are tuning in after the show, come on, you got to tune in live once in a while. We've got some good action in the chat. Joel is away this week, so I'm filling in, but let's just run down the futures here. We have the S&Ps now sitting at 4,558.25. That's up about 0.5% on the day. We're near the highs here. I mean, we just came off of the high of yesterday, which is the current level that we were looking at. Over to the dollar, still pretty flat on the day. We've been trending down for most of the afternoon, though. Currently sitting at 99.52. And then over to the bonds, those are pretty flat on the day at 126.12. Crude down almost 2% on the day at 74.09, still holding that $74 level there. Gold, that's down 0.3% at 1958.80. Over to silver, still sitting above 25, holding just barely. That's down on the day about 0.5% at 25.05 currently. And Bitcoin, that's down a little over 1%, back under 30,000, currently at 29,885. I'm going to stop the screen share and bring on Dennis.
And Josh, can you hear me okay? Because I got my brand new headset here that actually has a long enough cord to reach my PC. So I'm hoping you guys hear me okay.
Wow, yeah, you sound great. I think this is
okay.
This is much
Hopefully
better
the chat
than
can
the
confirm, because they were complaining this morning. They did not like the microphone being used for my webcam. So hopefully, guys, there may be some adjustments I have to do too. So if you don't like the sound, let me know. I literally just plugged this in 2 minutes ago here for the first time. So if I don't sound great, let me know. It's Greg Stanford saying sounding good. Easy says, yep, good. So sounds like we're good.
All right. Sounds like we got all that sorted. Yeah. And now a question, I put this question in the chat, but I'll ask this for you, Dennis. Do you think, as of, the price at 330 here, do you think we're going to finish up from that level, down, flat? What's your process there?
On the S&P.
Yeah, on the S&P.
Those are difficult calls here. I mean, right now we appear to be showing, we were melting up here just a few minutes ago, and then we get a little check back there. So it's hard to just, call S&Ps from day to day. And for the most part, I'm not really a SPY trader, even though I trade SPY every single day. It's funny, I'm not really a SPY trader. I'm using it for hedging purposes, where I'm taking, extracting alpha from the stocks and then just hedging market risk using the SPY. I'm rarely directional with the SPY. So that's not my cup of tea to call the S&P. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you're in this market. But right now, we're in a really choppy market. I mean, this morning, too, it looked like we wanted to roll over. Some stocks were rolling over. We had some of the value names really rolling over. And then what happens? The old buy the dip mentality reemerges, and then the rest is history here. But what we're really seeing strong here today, Josh, is a little bit of the catch-up trade, where you're seeing some of those tech names that haven't participated as much are starting to participate. You're also seeing, just relentless, like the dip buying is becoming relentless now. So there was a negative note on AMD this morning from Citi, and AMD actually was down over $2 on that note this morning. Well, they've turned around and just started buying that thing, and they have not stopped all day. So if you want to look at the AMD chart and bring that one up, you can see
Yeah.
right after the open, about 10 o'clock, we bought at 112.73, and we have been straight up for basically the last 3 hours. So, and we're up almost 6 points from that low here now. So it's funny. This tech, buy the dip in tech, is still there. And the banks actually are having a pretty good day too, because what we wanted to see was, some of these IWM, the banks start to show some life here. I mean, after the bell, we're not getting much, but tomorrow morning, we're going to hear from a lot of the banks. We're going to hear from Bank America. We're going to hear from Schwab, which will be interesting, Morgan Stanley, and then some of the regionals, Synchrony, PNC, BK. So, what are those regional banks saying? How are they looking? Are they seeing, still outflows? Are they seeing stabilization there? What are they saying going forward? I mean, we're in the middle of bank earnings season here right now. So that's going to be really the story for tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we get the guns with Tesla and Netflix.
Yeah, it's a big week for earnings, that's for sure. And I mean, we also have Interactive Brokers releasing earnings tomorrow. I mean, we're gonna see how much you and me too are keeping up their profits there.
We try. The one thing I will say is volatility. So one thing to be careful when you're trading, and you're looking, at the brokerages are all killing it. Volatility has come in a bit, and that equals less trading. So when the VIX, when the VIX is kicking 20 or 30, there's lots going on. It's been quieter here. So VIX 13, I can tell you from my volumes in the last quarter were probably down about 20 or 30%. It was very slow quarter. And it's not that I'm trading less. It's just there's less movement, less opportunity. So you're not making as many trades from an efficiency standpoint. So, what does that mean for Schwab or Interactive Brokers? I don't know. It's stay tuned here. But I'll tell you, where it's been a pretty good quarter for retail, where we know we've seen a lot, especially the last month, where we've seen a lot of stocks going up here. I think it's been slower for the professional traders. I think it's been a slower month.
Okay, well, yeah, that is interesting that even your volumes are down there. But I want to also touch on the Nasdaq. So we were supposed to have the rebalance Friday, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the news, but they're now gonna do the special rebalancing next Monday, at the close of next Monday.
Yeah. So that's the official day they were always going to do it, but they were supposed to announce on the 14th. So they were supposed to announce on Friday what the new percentages were. And apparently it was actually released, but nobody could find it. So if you want to go to my Twitter feed, we actually do have some information on this now. A reporter over there at Benzinga there just hunted it down here. I'm just going to actually just go grab it if I can myself. I know I'm on my Twitter feed. I'm just going to my Twitter feed because I was actually posting the link, grabbing it here right now. Twitter is changing again. It's getting pop-ups at me. I'm telling you, man, I'm getting annoyed with Twitter. But just going and grabbing Nicholas Brown. Shout out to Nicholas. He's great guy. One of the reporters at Benzinga. He hunted it down there, and apparently he actually emailed. So he emailed the NASDAQ to try to find out, hey, what's going on? And they came out and said it was released. There was a press or that wasn't even a press release. It was just hidden, on their website there. So it actually was released. And if we're looking at it, details are Apple. Here's some of the details. And actually, James DeBoer will give you a shout out here too, because he actually tweeted it out as well. So that's going to be your top movements here, is what you're looking at. It's a reweighting here, and the top 25. So you're looking, Apple's going to go down about 0.6%, not much there. Microsoft though here, so you're looking at the difference here is fairly significant. Microsoft's going to go down almost, July 14th, if I'm reading this right here, and I'm just looking at it in detail for the first time here. It looks like it's going to drop from from the current weight of 12.8% here. Looks like they're trying to bring it down there to the 9.8%. So that's a significant cut. Google's going to go down. Amazon's going to go down. Nvidia is going to go down. We knew that. Meta's going to go down. Tesla's going to go down slightly. And then going up are all these other ones. So everything else going up. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it myself, but I will look at it tonight. I'll look at that file in detail there, because I'm assuming some of the smaller ones are probably going up as well. But you can see, they're just increasing and spreading the wealth is what they're really doing. You can see Adobe going up 0.4. Netflix we thought might benefit. They're going to go up 0.3%. So there'll be slights. It's not going to be crazy movement off of this, but it's something to keep in mind. And if we do look at some of those stocks today, Netflix is having a day. it's up $9 here, so it's having a pretty good day. Some of these other ones not responding too much. I mean, it's fairly muted. AVGO is having a hell of a day here too. Broadcom, which is a stock that we've liked on the show for a long time, and it's breaking out here now too. Value stock, 18 times earnings, 2% dividend, now making a new 52-week high. So that one's been moving as well. But very interesting, that nobody could find this on Friday.
Yeah.
And then, and again, then it was hunted down, and actually, I guess it was released on Friday and just nobody found it. Next time, do a press release.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe we should have them on the closing print show. I mean, that would get the word out there. If you guys would get ahead of all that.
Yeah.
So with the rebalancing there, do you think you're paying more attention to the large caps or the mega caps there? Or are you paying more attention to the smaller ones that
I think the smaller ones for a lift. And, we are seeing it a little bit, even if you go down to the very low components, like look at Lucid here today. And that's why I'm curious, did they get a little bump up too? Like that tweet out was from the top 25, but what about the other 75? Yeah. We don't have that on that tweet. I've got to go to that link and follow it and look at the file myself, which I have not had time yet to do today. It's been a busy day, but I am going to go hunt that down tonight, take a look, and see if those little ones are getting a bump too, because I am seeing some action and some of the smaller names bump up here today too. Zoom, which we tweeted and I tweeted on the weekend that I was liking that setup. JC Peretz said he liked the technicals, and I said I like the fact that they might get bumped up a little bit, and it's waiting in the QQQs and ducks in a row here. It's up $2.54 here today. So Zoom having a pretty good day. Roblox we talked about on the show this morning, RBLX, and that's having a pretty good day as well. It was in Tim Quast's screener there on momentum, and that's having a pretty good day too. So there's definitely some catch-up trade happening in some of the smaller tech names.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen that in the smaller tech, and also I know we have it popping up in the chat, but Enphase was also having a great day today. They got
a smaller component in the QQQ is a stock that we talked about on the show the last few days. It did pull back a little bit and now gets the pop again. So I think you just got to be looking at kind of like combing the ditches. What hasn't gone yet in tech? And that is what is actually lifting. If you can find some names that really haven't participated that much yet, that might be the trade. I am still, curious, and I have been playing the Mattel trade. I'm not in it now, but I have been doing it overnight. And it has been pretty good, where we've got the Barbie trade happening. I believe the official release, let's get that Barbie release date again. I think it comes out this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, July 21st. Yeah, so it's coming out Friday. So do we see a run up in Mattel into that again? We've checked back. We had a little pullback the last 3 or 4 days. I think it sets up for it. I mean, I went to the stores in Walmart there to get this headset. And well, actually, this one came from Staples, but I was in Walmart last night to get the headset that I just returned. Mattel or Barbie, there was like the Barbie movie. I saw different toys all on the shelf and says the Barbie movie, the Barbie movie. So you're seeing it on the shelves too. So I still think there's a Mattel trade here into this week, into that event.
Okay, really? Yeah. I mean, because we've been seeing it run up, day after day after day.
And it has already happened. Some people think maybe it's already in there, but I think there's more. I think there's more left in the tank here.
Okay, well, yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, they've definitely ramped up the Barbie marketing. I mean, I don't normally see Barbie marketing, but it's been popping up here and there. So yeah, sure. maybe there is still some gas left in there. Another one today, First Solar. I don't know if you took a look at this morning.
Wow.
But yeah.
Solar names playing catch up here too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, is this, you think, part of that tech catch up?
I think so. I think it's like reaching around and looking, and often you see solar move with energy. You see it move with oil because the alternative, as oil becomes more expensive, the solar is relatively more cheap. So sometimes when oil rallies, you see solar rally as well. So that decoupling happening here today, though, because energy is not having a day, but solar is. And it's not just like the Enphase, like we were saying in the First Solar. It's all the solar stocks are having a day today. TAN is up, SED. I know Sun Power got a downgrade there last week. Ooh, because it's up almost 10% here today. Some of these analysts late to downgrade these stocks, and you're seeing them comb the ditches. Analysts, be careful downgrading stocks. They're 52-week lows here right now, because those actually stocks are getting bought. I don't know if it's retail or who's doing it, but I'll tell you right now, analysts downgrade that last week is saying, oh, maybe I downtick this thing.
Yeah, then we'll see all the other analysts start to flip back the other way, and oh yeah, well, no, we're maintaining our price target, we're
Yeah.
increasing ours as soon as they get left behind there. uh did you, so I know you had a trade on Microsoft today, are you able to talk about that at all? Can we touch on that?
Did I?
Well,
I
I think
actually, yeah, I was. Oh, yeah, I was short Microsoft into. I was short Microsoft this morning. I was short a number of stocks over the weekend of the big guns because I thought that they were going to announce it over the weekend, and then they did, but nobody found out about it. So I really didn't get that trade. I was hoping for that. A little sell off into that's going to go down. I think it's not surprising here that Microsoft is down today. The ATVI news obviously is right there as well. So there's
yeah,
multiple
exactly.
headlines here. The potential, obviously, of decline of how much is going to be weighed in the QQQ, but more so, you got an ATVI headline on this as well. It's had a rough day today. It's been down most of the day, where a lot of other big mega cap tech has been going higher. Although Amazon and Google not doing great either. So I do think maybe that Russell news is weighing a little bit here, or not Russell news. I keep saying Russell. The QQQ rebalance news is
Yep.
weighing on these mega caps here to a certain extent. Apple and Tesla don't seem to care, but Tesla had its own headline this morning. But I can tell you got Meta's up a little bit. Microsoft is just flirting green. Google and Amazon are both down. So it might be having some impact.
Yeah, it just might be. I mean, do you ever trade much of these larger caps? Like, I mean, well, Tesla's been running today a little bit, but are you
I
paying
trade those
attention
every
to
day.
these?
I trade
Oh,
those every
every
day.
day.
Yeah, every
Okay.
day. I'm a mega cap trader. So I like to be able to get in and out easily. And I trade those things all the time, whether it's a story, whether it's, commentary, whether it's, just an arbitrage trade. There's, Tesla, I would probably trade that 3 to 4 times a week on a day trading perspective, maybe more. And
Yeah.
Apple all the time. Netflix, which is going to report. I'm biased to be long those things again into the reports because they tend to drift higher into their reports. So, I'm just trying to extract alpha from simplistic strategies that work over time. And, stocks
Mhm.
that report often have that drift up ahead of the reports. So that's, how I
Yeah.
play it.
Yeah, so, I mean, simple is key. That's how we can actually follow rules rather than getting caught up in
I've
the
made my
emotions. And
entire life trading by using simplicity. Simple little stuff. It's like, oh, there's going to be an interview on CNBC. Well, maybe it's going to rally ahead of that interview. Maybe it even rallies into that interview. Certain things like that. I mean, certain things like that that seem just so simple that, oh, it can't be that easy. That's how I've made my money and my living for years. It's just simplistic. Own the stocks a few days before they report, they tend to drift higher. I mean, to talk about that strategy there all the time. People want to talk about Disney. I've got this one absolutely right as well. I've turned bearish on it, which, if you've been listening or following my tweets here over the last week, I talked about
Mhm.
I did not like the Iger news, and I thought that it was going to be a turnaround and sell event. That is exactly what is happening here today. So I was actually long Disney a couple weeks ago. I had put it in the long-term portfolio thinking I'm going to play it off this 90 again, which has worked for me 3 times in the past, but just
Oh,
wasn't going. And then once I got the Ed Iger news, I was like, no more. I do not want to be long this stock. If it's going to be Iger for the next 2 years, more of the same. I think they needed to do a change. They need to do something else. So I'm all out of Disney. I turned bearish, not short it, but turned bearish on this thing. And I'm going to wait for
mhm.
the dust to settle on this thing. I think that, now you're making a new 52-week low. Stocks making new 52-week lows. You got to go. But as much as Netflix is firing on all cylinders, Disney is now firing on no cylinders. We said
Yeah,
this on the pre-market show this morning. The content has really been tough. They've kind of messed up Star Wars. Some of the new Star Wars series were very disappointing. Disney Plus has been disappointing. ESPN is a mess. And now we're hearing that the parks are starting to not show volume declines from where they were, a month or two ago. That's all a serious problem, especially when you have a consumer that's still doing stuff. They're just not doing Disney stuff here. So Disney, serious issues. Iger, more of the same, makes me want to stay away.
yeah. Okay. So when you say you're, getting a little bit more bearish on there, would you then be prepared to take a short on it? In
Well,
the
probably should have 2 days ago when I started talking bearish about it. I often joke that I just need to re-listen to my show and start trading some of our own stuff because we do make some fantastic calls on the show. We're wrong sometimes too, and we do pat
Oh
ourselves on
yeah.
the back every once in a while. But we turned bearish on this Disney as soon as the Iger news happened. At least I did, and I tweeted it. I was like, I don't like it. I don't like the news. I think it could become a selling event. That is exactly what has occurred. Obviously, should have listened to myself and shorted the stock at that point in time. I was smart enough to get out of any longs that I had. But now you're looking at the thing, you're like, why didn't I short it? I should listen to myself more, Josh.
There's that FOMO again.
Yeah,
It always shows up no
it
matter
does.
what. Yeah. So I mean, we have been listening to some of the banks that have been coming up with earnings. But did you take part in JP Morgan or Citibank last week or last
Yeah,
Friday, I
I
should say?
traded them a little bit. And the banks, again, I trade them against each other. And there's often, trades that I'm doing pre-market, after hours, during the day, open, close, where I'm doing a different arbitrage trades against each other. But no directional bets on any of the banks here right now. I do like the action JP Morgan. I think that is good. I think obviously tomorrow morning is just going to be so important. If you're trading the banks, JP Morgan, we already know how they did, but there's just so many big guns coming here. I mean, Goldman's on Wednesday as well. So, you get the Bank of America and the Morgan Stanley. And what is Schwab saying? Does this, they say everything's going fantastic and everything, the market thought, is just, behind us now? Or, or do they talk about any problems there? So what's Schwab saying? Very curious on the banks. And we're going to find out some fundamental information tomorrow morning.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we certainly will tomorrow morning. And when they do, are you looking for ones that are just experiencing the gap, maybe up, maybe down, and are you looking to take maybe the opposite of that, or what's
Sometimes, and sometimes it's just sympathy too. Sometimes you see the move and then you trade the peers off of the leader's move there. Now, with JP Morgan and Citi already reporting, they've already kind of had their move. So any move that they get is going to be a little more muted in comparison to maybe Goldman, which is going to report on Wednesday. Goldman will trade off the Morgan report. Those two trades, obviously, pair trades together. We're going to get Morgan first. So, Goldman tomorrow morning is going to trade off of Morgan. If Morgan misses or if Morgan beats, Goldman's going to follow suit. So keep an eye on Morgan. If you're trading Goldman, that's your classic relationships, just understanding those pairs.
Definitely. And then later this week too, on Thursday, I believe, we also have some semiconductors. TSM is reporting earnings Thursday morning. Do you think this is going to take part in this sort of tech catch up, or is this one that's going to be a little bit more in its own venue with the semiconductors?
It's hard to say. Taiwan Semiconductor, it's a stock that's actually reasonably valued. I still think the whole China geopolitical risk with Taiwan holds the stock down to a certain extent. I think if, that wasn't on the table, I think Taiwan Semiconductor would be much higher. So difficult to say. Taiwan is going to report on Thursday. Does it get a run to the report? Maybe. I think there's easier run ups in the report. Like, maybe Taiwan. It's actually not probably a bad call to maybe play this long into the report.
Okay, good to know. And Eric always has great questions in the chat if you ever run into him. But he's asking, Dennis, how fast do you need to be entering into a sympathy position off of an earnings report?
About 3 seconds. About 3 seconds after you see the move. I'm not joking. If you want to get in there and you want to play on the initial move, it's about 3 to 4 seconds. I would have it like,
okay.
And again, the bots, but sometimes see the bots take the easy and then they leave a little bit of meat left, on the bone. So it depends on how you're playing, but then you got to watch for the fake out too. Like, don't get caught up and it's like, oh, Morgan pops. I almost like the play better where you see, the leader rallies and lifts, but then you see the leaking start and you're like, oh, this could go red. And then it does, and then you get a shot to hit the sympathy trade on the opposite end because people were bidding it up and they're just slow to respond. So it depends. There's lots of different ways to play sympathy. But overall, just understanding that, hey, this is your leader, this is your laggard. Is a lag there. Is the lag 3 seconds? Is the lag 3 milliseconds in some cases? Yeah, but there's opportunity still for human traders in here, especially when you see things reverse. That's where you catch the bots.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so do you have just a bunch of order windows out there ready to go? Like
Sometimes.
as soon as
I always have my
okay.
montage keyed up, and I trade on Ready. You're familiar with Ready, Josh. You probably trade on Ready
Yeah,
for years.
yeah.
So it's one thing. Like, it's difficult as a retail if you've got like confirmation screens and all that. Most of the retail brokers are beyond that now. But you've got to have your order ready. You got to be ready on some stuff like that, like queued up and ready to go. And it's not just a matter of like trying to beat the bots. Like I said, it's sometimes, taking advantage of the bots. The bots will automatically buy something up. Then you look at the report, you're like, it's not that great. Leader starts to leak, and all of a sudden you got a bot bid there, and you're like, bang, you got him, buddy. So there's sometimes opportunities there.
Yeah, there is. Okay, well, we have about 4 minutes to the
I've
close
got to go
here.
prepare for my close as well. So I stayed a few
Yeah,
extra minutes with you. So do enjoy.
yeah.
Obviously, Joel will be back with you in a few days here, but I know you're doing a great job. And Josh, obviously, you got some trading background with break trading and everything too. So we enjoy having you. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Dennis. Good
See you,
luck with
Josh.
your closing trades. All right, well, in the meantime, until the close here, we can take a look at a few other symbols. If you want me to take a look at some levels, Joel's been showing me the ropes. Apparently, I'm okay at the very least at getting levels. So you can put some symbols in the chat. Maybe we can take a couple looks at them. And I want to catch up a little bit on where you think the S&Ps are going to finish the day. So a bunch of you voted. It seems like most of you thought it was going to finish up from 330. And again, that 330 level was 45.61.75. That's in the E-mini futures there. A lot of you think it's going to be flat, though. That's the next highest, 29% of you. And I mean, 16%, no idea. That's absolutely okay too. I mean, sometimes you just have no idea where the markets are going. Well, actually, I think that's most of the case. We never know really where the market is going. We're all trying to predict the future, but it's good to stay simple, like Dennis says, and stick to the simple strategies where you can find your edge. So let's take a look at this at Snap. Thanks, the thinker. Having a pretty decent day here and selling off into the close with the S&Ps. Oh, this monthly, we're coming up onto a bunch of resistance here. We got at, I guess we cleared it today. It's at least a triple top, if not a quadruple top there over the last few months, right around 1270. So we cleared that today, and the next level on the upside, got to go back a little bit here. The next level in Snap. Oh, it's in this gap here way back in the previous July. And the next level there is 1547. So that's on the upside. Otherwise, in the short term, we have $13. That was basically the low for the day. Well, 1297 if we're being specific, but levels are always areas rather than a specific to the penny points there. Let's take another look at another stock, AVGO. Thanks, EKS. We'll take a look at the levels there. Oh, okay, we're pushing on the highs here, and we have this huge candle on May 30th with a high of 921.78, and I mean that's the next clearest resistance point. Other than that, I mean, you have support right around 88, 886 or so, and I mean that's after previously blowing past that triple top right around 889. So we see it responding to that level a little bit there. I mean, there's definitely some range. I mean, if this can clear that May 30th high, I mean, it looks like you have just about blue sky afterwards. I mean, other than that, it's in a nice uptrend, but if we start getting back underneath 890, then we're gonna see probably some selling. Hey, and there's the close. Perfect timing. Where did we close at here today? We closed at 4,552. I gotta get these numbers right. It's all practice. Anyway, 4,552. That means we closed down from the start of the show. There's your closing print indicator for you. Thank you all for tuning in, and remember, tomorrow we're going to have on Christian Fromhertz. It's going to be a great guest. We're going to have on Todd Gordon on Wednesday, and someone that we haven't had on before, or at least for a while, Evan Schneidman on Thursday. We're going to find out if I said that name right then. Anyway, Thanks for tuning in to today's show, and we'll see you all tomorrow at the closing print.